Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel, guys. So what I have for you guys today is going to be another episode of my championship score predictions. So thank God, guys, this weekend we have got championship football back, and I must say that I have massively missed it. Myself, I'm not really a massive fan of international football, so not having championship football going on last weekend was a bit of a drag for me, but never to worry, guys, it is back this weekend, and we actually have some crackers of matches to go ahead and predict today, guys. So if you've not seen this series before, let me quickly explain how it all goes down. So every week I give you my championship score predictions for what I think the results will be with each game going on in the championship. FIFA 17 also makes their predictions, but what I'm really interested to know is what you guys have to say. So I will leave all the fixtures that are taking place this weekend in the description down below, and then you guys can easily go ahead and make your predictions. And then if you do manage to get any of your score predictions correct, I will include your comment at the start of the next video. So a couple of things I need to mention before we do get into my score predictions this week. The first of which is that this series will probably be coming out on Friday from now on. I know beforehand I would always upload it on Thursday, but since I have gone back to college now, it just works out a little bit easier for my schedule. So this series will be coming out on Friday at 4 o'clock for the foreseeable future. And as well as that, what I'm also interested to know from you guys is, who do you think should win the Championship Player of the Month award for August? The nominees for this are Darnell Fisher from Preston North End, had a very good month with Preston playing at right back. Billy Sharp from Sheffield United had a fantastic season back in the Championship. He's really hit the ground running. Mendes Liang from Cardiff, of course, had an unbelievable start to this season, scoring and assisting goals, and is a pretty integral part of why they're so high up in the league. And also Martin Waghorn from Ipswich Town. The partnership that he's already formed with Joe Garner has been exemplary, and he just really hit the ground running. So they're the options for this month's Player of the Month, guys. Who do you think deserves to win? Let me know down below. If I had to say who I thought to win, I would probably go, I know I'm a Preston fan, but I'd probably just edge toward Mendes Liang. All of them are capable of winning it. They've all had terrific months, but if I had to pick one, it probably would just about be Mendes Liang from Cardiff. But enough of that, guys. Let's get into some of my score predictions. So our first game to go ahead and predict is the game taking place tonight on Friday night between Derby and Hull City, and this is an encounter which I'm looking forward to seeing the outcome of, actually, because I don't think it's the easiest one to call over the course of the weekend. I think that's fair to say. One thing I will say as well is, after an international break, you tend to get a bit of an irregularity with some of the results going on, because in my opinion, the international break came at the right time for some clubs and the wrong time for some clubs. Hull and Derby this season have got actually very similar records. They both won 2 games, lost 2 games, and drawn a game. So this one at Pride Park, I do anticipate it to be quite a level game between these two sides. I don't think we've probably seen the best out of either of them yet, especially Derby. And as well as that, I'm sure that Derby fans will be hoping that Johnny Russell will be shooting the right way this weekend after his just ridiculous own goal last weekend. But guys, in terms of a result for this one, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I can see these two sides cancelling each other out, and on Friday night, generally you do seem to get quite a few draws. So I'm going to say 1-1, FIFA same, 2-0 Hull. And then for our next fixture we then move on to the Saturday games, the first of which being Aston Villa, who are coming up against Brentford. Now this is a pretty big game in Brentford's season, in my opinion. Of course, they're yet to pick up a win yet, currently sat in the relegation zone, and I know it is still very early on into the season, so you can't really read too much into that, but with a very sloppy deadline day for Brentford, this really could be a game to go ahead and be a statement of intent for how they're going to go ahead and move on this season. Show that they are still a very strong group of players, which I do think they are, and they need to show that they're able to still really go ahead and compete with some top sides in the Championship. Aston Villa so far this season have been fairly inconsistent. However, I do back their home record. It is very impressive. Ever since they have been in the Championship, they've not lost very many games at home. And so for this game, I am going to go with a 3-1 home victory for Aston Villa. If Brentford can really put on a show for this one, they could cause them some damage, but I think this one could be a little bit similar to the Villa against Norwich game. So I'm going to go with a 3-1 Villa victory, whereas FIFA same, it'll be 1-1. Then for our next fixture we then have Bolton, who are coming up against Middlesbrough. So of course one of the promoted sides coming up against one of the relegated sides, and I've got a feeling quite a few people will probably be backing Middlesbrough for a big scoreline in this one, but myself, that's not really how Middlesbrough have gone about their season so far. Of course, it could be the case after this international break that they really start to kick on now, but Middlesbrough do seem to have made a lot of the games where I say they should be winning quite hard work for them, and I get the impression that this could be more of the same against this Bolton side. Of course, Bolton are going to have to be really fired up for this one. Of course, they've not won a game yet, and they're currently sat bottom of the championship, managing to get 2 points so far, so they're going to be desperate to get hold of their first win, and their home form is going to have to be massive if they are going to avoid the drop. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 away victory for Middlesbrough. I don't think it'll be an easy game for them because they do seem to make quite hard work of a lot of their games, especially the away ones. So I'm going to go 2-1 Middlesbrough. FIFA same, 1-0 Borough. Then for our next fixture we have one of the games of the weekend, if not the game of the weekend, in my opinion. That is going to be Fulham, who are coming up against Cardiff, and I am really excited to see how this one actually goes ahead and pans out. Of course, Cardiff currently sat top of the championship, unbeaten so far, won every game they've played, and coming up against the Fulham side, who another one that are backed for promotion this year, and at home are actually a very strong side, so this could be a real cracker of a game. Of course, Fulham in their last game put an end to Ipswich's unbeaten run, and you know what, I actually think they may do it to Cardiff as well. I get that gut feeling at home this season. I think they will be very good, and they've got some fantastic players going forward, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 home victory for Fulham. I'm probably crazy backing against Cardiff because they have been insane so far this season, but surely they can't go on this unbeaten winning run forever in the championship. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 Fulham victory, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be 0-0. Then for our next fixture we then have Leeds United, who are coming up against Burton Albion. So of course Leeds currently at the moment unbeaten in the championship and have looked like a very strong outfit so far. I think I have to say that really. Coming up against Burton Albion, who are towards the bottom of the table, but that was to be expected really. No offence to Burton fans of course, but so far they've shown that they've still got a good enough squad to really compete and give it a real good go in the championship once again. Looking over Burton's away form this season and last season as well, it's not really the best, and going away to a place like Ellen Road where Leeds really do seem to make it a fortress when they really do get into a roll of results, it will be a very tough game for Burton, and I'm interested to see the game plan that they actually go about this game for. But I do see nothing past a Leeds victory for this one really, so I'm going to go with a 2-0 home victory for Leeds, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be 0-0. And then for our next fixture we have a very interesting encounter this weekend. That is Norwich, who are coming up against Birmingham. Now I know the obvious thing for this one would be to back for a Birmingham victory. I mean, Norwich coming off the back of that dismal performance last time out against Millwall when they were battered 3-0 away from home, and Birmingham having an excellent transfer deadline day, adding so much more quality into their starting 11. It would be the obvious thing to go ahead and back the Birmingham victory. I actually think that Norwich may bounce back, you know. Don't get me wrong, it was horrific at Millwall, but they just can't let that happen 2 times in a row, or else people will probably really be asking questions of Daniel Farke, and so I feel like they will go maybe a little bit defensive. They'll be wary of Birmingham's attacking options considering some of the players they did get in recently, but for this one I am actually going to fancy a 1-1 draw. Then for our next fixture we have my club Preston North End, who are coming up against Barnsley. So far this season, it's going to be said, not a lot of goals have been scored in Preston matches. We've not conceded many, but equally to that, we've not actually scored many either. We have created quite a few chances, but not really being as clinical as a lot of Preston fans would like us to be maybe. So we're coming up against Barnsley, and it's maybe a good chance to go ahead and get a couple of goals, but I don't think this is going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. And I am anticipating this one to be quite a low scoring game, and I am going to back Preston to get a 3rd consecutive 1-0 home victory. So I'll say 1-0 Preston. FIFA same, 1-0 Barnsley. Then as we go into our next game, we then have QPR, who are coming up against Ipswich. So in the Championship so far this season, QPR currently unbeaten at home with 2 consecutive victories, coming up against an Ipswich side who, on the whole, they've looked very impressive so far. You know, that striker partnership of Martin Wycorn and Joe Garner really has caused a lot of defences, a lot of problems so far, and they've actually been very clinical with their chances so far. But they did lose their first game just before the international break against a very impressive Fulham side, and for this one I actually see these two sides cancelling each other out. QPR at home, as I said, have been very impressive so far, and Ipswich on the whole have been great, so I'm going to go ahead and back a 1-1 draw for this one, whereas FIFA's saying it'll be 0-0. And then for our next match we do go with and have Reading, who are coming up against Bristol City. So Reading so far this season have been a fairly inconsistent side. I don't think they've got consecutive results yet. I think they've drawn a game, then lost a game, then won a game. So it's been a bit topsy-turvy for Reading so far in this season. And Bristol City have actually picked up 3 consecutive draws for this one. So it wouldn't surprise me if this one was to go ahead and finish as a draw, and Bristol City would continue that trend they're currently putting up. But for this one, I'm going to fancy the home side. I think Reading at home have been quite an impressive outfit so far. They've been a tad inconsistent away from home, but for this one, I'm going to go with a 2-1 home victory for Reading. Whereas FIFA's saying it'll be 1-1. Then for our next fixture we do go with and have Sunderland, who are coming up against Sheffield United. And Sunderland so far this season have been a bit of a weird outfit so far. I think that's fair to say. But I'm actually looking forward to seeing how some of their deadline day additions go ahead and slot into this team. And they may actually need quite a few of them, as I do believe that Aidan McGeady is injured. I think he was injured on international duty with a hamstring. But they're coming up against a team that I've actually been largely impressed by so far this season in Sheffield United. I think they have got Championship quality in their side, and that's been seen by Billy Sharp being up for the Player of the Month award. I think he'll cause the Sunderland defence all sorts of problems. But for this one, I am going to go ahead and back a 1-1 draw. I think this one will end level. I think that Sheffield United, a team on a high at the moment, and Sunderland, I think they'll be pretty good at grinding out results this year, Sunderland. But for this one, I will say 1-1. Thiev's also going to agree with me and say 1-1. And then for our next fixture we do go, we then have Wolves, who are coming up against Millwall. So of course it was a very impressive start to the season for Wolves, but since then, I wouldn't say standards have slipped, but they're coming off the back of a loss and a draw, so they're going to be desperate to go ahead and get back to winning ways after this international break. But it's not going to be an easy game, coming up against this Millwall side who look excellent last time against Norwich. I do think they'll cause this Wolves side quite a few problems, and maybe it'll be similar to the Cardiff game actually. Millwall probably being a more direct side than Cardiff, so I'm interested to see how Wolves will go ahead and deal with that threat. But for this one, I am going to fancy Wolves to go ahead and get back to winning ways. Away from home, Millwall haven't been the greatest so far this season, but they do seem to create a lot of chances, so Wolves are going to have to be on their A game for this one. But I am still going to go with a 2-0 home victory for Wolves. I think the international break did come at the wrong time for Millwall, as they were playing some excellent football when it did finish. So I'm going to go with a 2-0 victory for Wolves. FIFA same. 1-0 Wolves. And then for our last fixture we do go, we have the evening kickoff on Saturday taking place between Sheffield Wednesday and Nottingham Forest. And this does have the potential to be a really exciting game actually. I've been thrilled watching Nottingham Forest at times so far this season. Some of their attacking link-up play has really been next level, especially when you compare it to how they were playing at times last season. They have been excellent in games so far. However, on the flip side of that, we've also seen a couple lows of them. You know, their performance they had last time against Leeds, their standards seem to slip a little bit in that one. So it's going to be an interesting battle to see which Nottingham Forest goes ahead and turns up for this one. Coming up against the Sheffield Wednesday side, who haven't had the greatest of starts to the season, but equally to that, they've only lost 1 game so far. They've drawn 3 games, so that does seem to be a common occurrence for Wednesday so far. But for this one, I actually think that this one will be a fairly low scoring game. If it is Forest that score first, then the floodgates really could open this game and we could see a game ending 3-2 or something like that. But if it is Sheffield Wednesday who go ahead and take the lead in this one, I feel like they'll just close off the game from there. They are very good at doing that in my opinion, but sometimes maybe they waste a couple opportunities, but when Sheffield Wednesday do get in front in the game, they normally do see it out. So for this game, I'm going to go with a 1-0 home victory for Sheffield Wednesday, whereas FIFA saying it'll be 0-0. So there you guys have it. That will wrap it up for this episode of my Championship score predictions. So what are your score predictions, guys? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I'd be very interested to know. But apart from that, guys, that will now wrap it up for this video. So if you have enjoyed, make sure you do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. As well as that, make sure you check out all the links in the description down below. And make sure you subscribe for regular Championship content. But apart from that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.